Located in Ukunda on the southern coast of Kenya, the Diani Sea Lodge is an expansive hotel with lush gardens and a gorgeous slice of the crystal white sands and aquamarine ocean waters that the Kenyan south coast is famous for. It's the perfect setting for this season, so let's live out loud next. Hiya, I'm Sheila Mwaniga. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. As always, click subscribe and hit notifications so you catch up with uploads every Monday. And I'd like to hear what you think about this video, so watch it please, and drop us a comment in the comment section below. Now, in picking up a more active lifestyle, one must take into consideration different factors. Personally, I found it far easier to stay consistent when I choose activities that I actually enjoy doing. Things like walking or yoga or a little weight training and running. And when it comes to running, your choice of gear is very important, especially your choice of shoes. I recently spent time at Runnerspoint, Kenya's top running and specialty store located at the Waterfront Mall in Karen. Stocking top-of-the-range professional brands for both professional and recreational runners, the store also has a wide selection of gear for a wide range of different sporting disciplines. Vincent Ochieng was an incredible guide on everything I needed to know about selecting the correct shoe. Passionate about running, cycling, and triathlons, let's catch up with Vincent Ochieng for a comprehensive guide on running shoes in this episode. Hey Vincent, how you doing?
Hi Sheila.
Are you happy?
I'm very happy.
I'm just happy to be here. You know, I found a new home, so you guys are in so much trouble. You have no idea. But Vincent, in advising your clients, you always walk us through the state of our feet and the shoes that we need. So give us a little bit of a demonstration, because all feet were not created the same.
That's true. And you know, running shoes is such a significant investment. I mean, they range from around 10,000 to 25,000. So if you want to spend 10,000, 25,000 on a pair of running shoes, you'd want to get something that's going to work for you. And so, as a running shoe seller, we need to make sure that the customer gets what she or he deserves and what he or she will find suitable for their running style. So there are many things that, the main things that determine the kind of running shoe that a customer can use. And there's no particular shoe that can say it's good for everyone. So every fit is different, and every individual is different. The considerations such as body weight, even the running surface where they're running on, also their speed could determine what kind of shoe. But you also have other considerations such as, for example, do they have problems, existing problems with the knees or ankles, and also the gait. The gait is basically how their foot strikes the ground. There are three types of runners. So if you categorize on the way their foot strikes the ground. So if your foot strikes the ground and your ankle is more or less stable, then you're a neutral runner. But then there are runners who, when their foot strikes the ground, their ankle tends to roll in excessively towards the inside of the foot. That's called overpronation. And then the opposite of that is underpronation. So underpronation basically means your foot strikes the ground, but your ankle rolls slightly on the outside instead of the inside. So this is very key determinant when you're choosing a running shoe. Because there are like 80% of all running shoes are neutral, because 80% of people, because they're not just like elite athletes, but 80% of people are neutral. So when they walk or they run, the foot normally just strikes the ground in a neutral manner. But about 15% of people are overpronators. So when their foot strikes the ground, the ankle tends to roll on the inside. And about maybe 5% are underpronators, so the ankle tends to roll on the outside.
Okay, so what's my foot?
For you, you are pronator.
I'm a pronator proper.
Yeah.
Which is, it goes
I
into
don't
the
think it's proper. I
inside.
think it's more moderate.
Yeah.
So that's why it goes 13 would work best for you. If it was
Yeah.
very, very acute,
Yeah.
then we'll have to find another shoe.
Okay, so mine comes in, but not too severely.
Yes.
So it's a neutral-ish.
Yes.
Okay. Is Elliot neutral?
So it's called moderate pronation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Elite is neutral.
We're in the same WhatsApp group. I'm winning. All right. So from the description of the shoes that you've just given us, I know for sure this is not stuff that we're taught in school. Most of us will walk into a running store and buy shoes based on maybe the color or the way the shoe looks, but it may not necessarily be the right shoe for us. And what is the problem and danger with doing that?
Yes, we are set up as a specialist running store. So it means we go a step further to advise the customers on what they actually need, not what they want. Of course, most customers, especially ladies, will come in and they want the most colorful shoe, or I don't know, they want this shoe because it looks like this. They don't really care about if it's going to work for them or not. That's probably what you'll be able to do at other shops that sell shoes in Nairobi, but they don't really advise you because they don't know. They don't have the knowledge of whether it would work for you or not. But I think here it's very important that when the customer comes, they actually get the right shoe, because the consequences can be disastrous. You'd spend 20,000 on a pair of shoes and still go get injured and spend even more money in therapy. So it's very important that, and also it's going to inhibit your running, it's going to inhibit your health because you won't be able to work out. And I'm sure you heard people who say, "Oh, running is bad for my knees." It's probably because it started out the wrong way.
Right. So can the wrong shoe really get you into therapy? Like, what are the kinds of problems that you can develop if you're running in the wrong shoes?
A wrong kind of shoe will definitely get you into therapy. I'll demonstrate. There's one thing about running shoes that most people don't know. It's called the stack height. So stack height is basically the difference in the thickness of the sole at the heel and the difference in thickness of the sole at the forefoot. It might look like a very trivial feature, but it's actually it's the most important feature in a running shoe. If you check 50 years ago, all the running shoes were flat. They're like sneakers, so they didn't have any stack height. They're all flat, and it's because in 1970s, not so many people actually cared about running for recreational running. We didn't have McDonald's then, but it wasn't a big thing. So most of the people who were into running were people who were either training to go for the Olympics or training to compete in the school competition. So they are basically athletes who are focusing on running at a professional level. But then in the 1970s there was a boom, especially in the Western world, where many people just wanted to run recreationally because they needed to keep their weight down or because they're afraid of lifestyle diseases kicking in. So the shoe companies then quickly realized that the flat shoes don't really work for this kind of runners because they don't have an athletic background. Their muscles are not developed. Their running muscles are not developed as the ones who were running before. So they started to come up with the shoes with a drop. So basically, the stack height is the drop. So at the moment, if you look at the shoes today, 80% of the shoes have a drop, and normally it's 8 to 10 to 12 millimeters. For example, this is 10 millimeter drop. This is Nike Epic React. It has a 10 millimeter drop from the heel to the forefoot. So that is very important because every time your foot strikes the ground, it helps your foot to pick up. That releases a lot of the tension and the shock that will go through your calf, especially the lower leg, so the calf and the Achilles. So if a runner, for example, was running and when he runs, the foot strikes the ground at the ankle, then this will be a very good option for him. However, if you're a runner and your foot strikes the ground with the forefoot, then this will not be a good option for you. So then you'd need a shoe with less stack height. So more like Hoka, for example. This has a 4 millimeter stack height. You can see the thickness in the front. It's not so different from the thickness at the back, so it's almost the same. The drop, when I say drop, I basically mean the stack height. It's about 4 millimeters. So it has lesser drop than the Nike Epic React. So this will be a deal for someone who strikes the ground from the forefoot onwards. And what it basically does is that it reduces the impact shock that normally would go through the lower leg and distributes it more evenly towards the ankle and the Achilles and the calf. If, for example, someone has knee problems, then you want to buy a shoe like this because it's going to take off the stress from the knee and distribute the impact towards the ankle and the calf muscle. So that is how stacker can determine whether you get injured or not. But also again, the gait matters a lot. This is a neutral shoe, but also works for moderate pronators. So if you are neutral and you put on this shoe, it will serve you well. If you pronate moderately, again, it will serve you well. But if you are acutely overpronating, if you overpronate so much, then this is not an ideal shoe for you because it doesn't give you enough stability on the inside to minimize the effect that is normally caused by overpronation. So then I would want to recommend another shoe, probably like Epic React, because as you can see, it has lining on the inside. So this would work for people who are acutely overpronating, but also if you're moderately overpronating, still okay. If you are underpronating and use this shoe, you're most likely to get injured because basically it does the opposite of what it's supposed to do. When you want to buy a running shoe, you really go to someone who understands how running shoes have evolved and how they help you with the injuries.
When it comes to buying a pair of running shoes, do you also factor in the terrain? For instance, if I'm going to just run on the treadmill, is there a special shoe for the treadmill and a special shoe for being outdoors? Or as long as I found the right shoe for my foot, it will serve me on either terrain?
Yeah, so there's the different shoes based on surface. You can categorize shoes based on the surfaces where they're meant to be used. So either it's a road shoe, so that means you can use it on the road. And road even means like Karura, it's still considered road. Then you have the trail. So trail is like very rough terrain, for example, Longonot. Actually, there are not so many places in Nairobi where you'd consider to be trail, but basically it's very rough and rocky surfaces. And then there's track, which normally is track is normally like Kasarani in your stadium. That kind of surface is called track. So for example, this is a trail running shoe. This is A6 Gel Venture 6. So you can see it has a lot of grip at the bottom. So this is ideal for very rough surfaces. If you want to run, for example, Longonot or some very rocky surfaces, Mount Kenya, then this will be an ideal shoe for that kind of surface. But for road, almost all these shoes are for road. You only keep a few pairs for trail running.
Okay. Yeah. And what about treadmills?
So anything that works for the road works for treadmill. The treadmill is basically just like a road. So we just recommend road shoes for treadmill.
All right, on to our next demonstration. What have we got?
The other thing that will probably come into play often, most people tend to ignore, is the body weight of the customer. Different shoes work differently depending on how heavy or how light you are. And so, I mean, the range is big, but for example, if you are 90 kilograms and above, then your options for running shoes are much narrower than people who are maybe lighter. So for example, Nike Zoom. Zoom is actually a technology that Nike uses for the sole. This is normally recommended for runners around 80 kgs and below. So normally if you are more than 80 kg and you use Nike Zoom, then you may not get a very good experience. So don't just see Eliud Kipchoge wearing it and then you say, oh, I want a shoe like Eliud Kipchoge. But Eliud Kipchoge is a totally different runner from yourself, perhaps. So you need to go and look for something that works for you. You also have like Brooks, for example. It's a very nice shoe, regardless of the weight. So the Ghost series is one of Brooks' flagship running models, and this can handle weight well, even up to 120 kg. So it's a shoe that I normally recommend for my heavier customers, and so far there's been very good feedback and they tend to love it more.
So let's talk top sellers.
So again, as you probably know, Nike has the biggest share in the running industry, the biggest market share, and It's mostly because they make some very good running models, but also because they are very good in marketing. But you have other shoe companies that are not particularly known all over the world, but they have dedicated most of their time and research to just running shoe. And Nike, Adidas, they make shoe for other sports as well. But like for example, Brooks only makes running shoes, so they've dedicated the entire research to just producing running shoes, and they're doing very well. So some of our top sellers, actually, one of our top sellers is Brooks Ghost 13, which is a very, very nice shoe. It handles weight for even heavier runners and light runners alike. Just a 10mm drop, which works for most people. It's all terrain, so you can use it on road, you can use it off road. It's mostly water resistant. You can even use it for your not so serious hikes. It's very durable. It has a very durable sole. So this is one of our top sellers. And also React, which shows us this is a React sole technology. It's different from the Zoom. Personally, I recommend React sole for recreational running. I don't normally recommend Zoom or Zoom X for recreational running because they handle more weight and they're more responsive, and the cushioning in React is actually greater than the cushioning in Zoom.
What is recreational running?
So recreational running is basically people who don't have an athletic background. They're not aiming to go and compete in the Olympics. For them, they're just running to keep fit, stay healthy, maybe avoid some of these lifestyle diseases that are common now. But the other of our top sellers is the Hoka Clifton series, and this is Hoka Clifton Edge, which is basically the latest model in the series. Hoka is a French company. It's mostly developed in the US, and they're known world over and loved world over by ultra runners. Ultra runners, people who run long distances, and largely because they're very light, but at the same time they have maximalist cushioning. So they can see the cushioning is very good, but the shoe itself is very, very light. So Hoka is known for making light shoes, but also giving you the cushioning as well. So again, this is one of our top sellers. And the other shoe that probably performs better than the ordinary shoe is the Adidas Ultra Boost. This is the Ultra Boost 20. The first time they came up with Ultra Boost, I think it's 2018. So it's really proprietary technology, and it's known again for its maximalist cushioning. It's very plush, and when you run with it, and it really fits your running style. It's a very good shoe to have, and it will protect you well. So again, this is one of our top sellers.
Thank you, Vincent, for your time and insights. I'm truly grateful. I learned a lot, and I absolutely love my merchandise. For real. And I look fly in it too. But do I say? Actually, I do say. So there. Now listen, clearly the wrong pair of shoes is a bad pair of shoes, especially when it comes to fitness. So pop into Runnerspoint and get moving. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thanks for being here for it. Drop a comment in the comment section below. I gotta say thank you again to Vincent and Runnerspoint in Karen. They're located at the Waterfront Mall, so get going, get moving. And a big thank you to the Diani Sea Lodge for hosting Season 9 of Sheila Lives Out Loud. I'm looking forward to catching up with you again next Monday. Until then, live out loud in all that you do.